What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land. This is episode 2 of Nin10Talk, and this week we have a guest that's actually been here for a very long time, since really the very beginning of Nintendo Land, and has joined us through this adventure. Special guest is my uh, admin moderator that's been here for a while, InkyInk. Inky, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Excited to be on this episode of Nintendo Talk and talk about Nintendo things.
Yeah, Inky, how long have you been here? I don't even remember. It's been a while.
Well, I think like many others, I sort of found your channel through that one Splatoon 2 video.
Yeah.
And that was a great video. It stuck around. I remember coming in on one of the streams, and that's when a lot of the stuff really happened, where really hit it off, and I became a moderator within the evening.
Right. Yep. That was one of the first big ones, so it's probably where it did all begin here for the channel. But today we are talking about just pretty much general Nintendo. We're talking about where Nintendo is right now in 2020 and where they're going to go in 2021, and just kind of talk about the current state of how they are going. So the first thing I just want to talk about is, how do you think 2020? Obviously, 2020 has been heavily impacted by the virus, and
Right.
it just hasn't been great for anybody. So how do you think Nintendo did with that in mind still?
Well, as far as performance, I mean, obviously they had to sort of adjust with that, so a lot of stuff probably got slowed down. But as far as what they actually put out this year, I think it was pretty solid. You know, we had stuff like Animal Crossing and Paper Mario, the Mario 3D collection, and coming up soon we've got Age of Calamity. Uh, Pikmin 3 as well. I might pick that up if I have the extra cash. But overall, I think as far as them being hindered by the whole situation, I think they've handled themselves pretty well considering everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's been good. You could definitely tell. I think at the very beginning of the year there were rumors that this year was going to be super like heavy on ports, and clearly it was. But yeah, I
True,
mean,
true.
with that said, yeah, if you look at everything that's happened, they still were able to get out some games, and like for instance, Paper Mario for me was a huge shock, and
Right. I just
that was
finished
probably
that.
my game.
I just finished that the other day, and as my first Paper Mario game, I can say I'm pretty satisfied
really?
with it. Yeah, it was very nice.
Well, you thank God it's your first, because you probably don't have all the backlash that everybody's having
Yeah.
based on the other games. So you got to experience a new one fresh. But what did you think? What did you think of Paper Mario then? I'm very curious to somebody that's played it for the first time and started off with.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was a very charming game. I found the dialogue very amusing. There were a lot of fun jabs at Mario cliches, as well as just you could feel the amount of love put into it just from all the fun scenes. Like you have Mario like has a full-on like dance party. Like what? How many times in that game? Like
4 or 5, yeah.
yeah. The whole. I'm not gonna spoil too much, obviously, even though the game is out.
Yeah.
Just it was like for every streamer there was some really quirky, unique event that would happen that would just make you smile, and
Right.
that combined with the characters was just overall a very nice experience.
Yeah, so Paper Mario was always, known for its turn-based combat at the very beginning. And obviously people were mad that they changed it up the way they did, today. And you went from, I don't know if you've ever like seen Sticker Star and Color Splash then, if you've seen the way the stickers and the cards were used. And they completely changed it to like that turn-based, that grid that turns. So what did you think about the way the battle system worked? Because I know a lot of people were very iffy on that.
So it's definitely a unique concept, and that is something that Nintendo does a lot, which is both a blessing and a curse. They always try to strive for something new. Sometimes that's great, there's a lot of innovation there, but also they don't really have a mentality of if it isn't broken, don't fix it. They tend to change things that don't really need changing for the sake of having change. But aside from that, the whole ring system, as far as moving, very creative. I found it somewhat challenging at first. I tended to do it all myself. But then, once I discovered that you could basically pay the toads to do it for you, I ended up doing that all the way through the game, which I have mixed feelings about. Like, on one hand, I wouldn't have made it through the game as fast. On the other hand, I feel like I kind of cheated. So, overall, the battle system, very interesting. I think I've heard that the whole concept of having the different level items with the durability is kind of similar to what they did with Sticker Star.
Yep.
So, yeah, I didn't find that bad. I almost found it a little fun to sort of strategize what my weapon roster was going to be going into every fight. Since I tended to get a lot of weapons, again, thanks to the toads.
Yeah, I'm very indecisive. So here's the thing. I thought it was very interesting at first, and I thought the puzzles were cool, but for instance, one thing you can do in the game is you can go to like a battle lab area where you can practice all the different puzzles. And it's actually required to get like a specific trophy in the game, an achievement, and I went through them, and then even going into the game, I was just like, lots of these puzzles were repeating. And lots of times I would get into a battle, and okay, this is the enemy setup, this is what you have to do. It just instantly clicked. I didn't even really pay attention where they were, because I knew the setup. And like you said, later on too, it also got extremely difficult. I mean, there were some I remember that, I mean, even watching the solution, I was like, I'm never going to guess that. And then like that, and just the combination of being lazy.
And
like,
you're timed too. You don't have time. You don't have a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm lazy too, and I'm tired of this. By halfway through the game, like you said, I literally used the toads almost every time my first round, because all I needed was like the first little hint to get me going, and that was fine.
See, I want to say I played the game somewhat to its fullest, but you know, as I say that is absolutely not true. I did not do a lot of the side stuff like the battle labs. I think I went there once. And then I got trophies where I could, but I didn't really pursue going after all of them. So yeah, I did not know you could actually just memorize all the patterns.
Yeah, and I think most of that was because I decided to be insane and go for all the trophies. And it was crazy, I can tell you that. I don't recommend it. But I think the most difficult part was between the hidden question blocks, because they are ridiculously well hidden.
Yeah, I got.
There's like a bell that you can get to kind of tell you where they are.
Yeah,
but it's
I picked that up. Yeah.
Okay, that's good, because without it, it'd probably be impossible.
Even
the hardest part,
even with it, there were some that I missed. Like, it's ringing in this area, but like, what am I supposed to do? I'm jumping where there's no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there's one. There's like a room in Bowser's Castle, and it's in the room. It's in one of like the bedroom chamber areas. And I remember jumping in every single corner of the room, and it wasn't there. And then I gave up. I looked up a guide, and it was just in the room. You just had to jump in a specific spot. I'm just like, oh my god. But the hardest part with the challenges was without a doubt the sniff it or whiff. It was a Shy Guy game. I forgot the name of it though. Shy Guys finished last.
Oh, that.
You have to 100% get every single like mini game.
Really?
Correct. Yeah,
That's
you have to get them all correct.
I was awful at the bath math ones. Like, whenever that one got rolled, I was like, well, it's a wrap. I'm not getting this one right. And it wasn't. Sometimes I had the answer, but the way it was set up that you give the answer with the whole.
Oh yeah, you had to shift hit your plus sign, or
and it had to be like a complete equation, and
15 seconds.
Yeah,
like, together. I'm like,
it's. Yeah, I did not like that, but I did find it very charming, as I said before, as far as the different things you have to go through.
Yeah, the one that got me the most was the one where the ninjas were hiding in the boxes, because like the really hard one where there was like 5 ninjas. I'm just like, there's no way the human brain can keep track of 5 of those boxes as they're disappearing, shifting around the thing. I had to record it on my phone and go back and watch it.
I think I got that one once.
Yeah, I was like, But yeah, overall, the game, I thought the music was great.
Oh, yes.
Like, beautiful. I thought lots of people were kind of like utensils and like supplies as bosses, but I thought it was really cool the way they executed them.
I was actually...
I really like... I'm going to hear this.
I was actually I was skeptical of that at first, because at the start, going into it, like seeing the trailers and stuff, And this is just in general for Nintendo. I've never really liked the material-based games, you know,
Okay.
like Yoshi's Crafted World, Woolly World. I haven't played Kirby's Epic Yarn, but I'm also hesitant with that. Like,
Really
I don't.
good, though.
Yeah, I have heard that. I always hesitate to get into these like arts and crafts based ones because they take characters that I'm familiar with as being like biological entities
Yeah.
and putting them into this like fabricated world. But after playing Paper Mario, I think my outlook on that, at least for Paper Mario, has changed drastically. At first, I was very skeptical of the whole idea of the arts and crafts bosses. But once I played it, and they had their like really unique personalities, and it was really clever what they would do, I really liked that. And when I ended up facing the scissors, I was like, oh, this feels like a final boss for a man made of paper.
Right. And I'd tell you, I don't know. Were you able to complete that on your first try?
I don't think I was able to complete any boss on my first try.
Okay, because I kind of felt just like, dude, do I suck that bad? Because I mean, the scissors was lighting me up. It would
Right.
do. There's one where like he goes into rush when you got to jump over it,
Right.
and he stopped, and then went like,
Exactly,
kinda, like,
yeah.
juked.
Yeah, he
And
juked
I was
me
like,
as well.
no way.
And it did the
But it
whole
was like-
dramatic where he gets sliced, and it was just like 999 damage, and I was like,
Yeah. And I wasn't even like upset, really. I was just kind of like, what? Like, really?
Yeah.
Nintendo, okay. But yeah, it was a great game. I really liked Paper Mario. It was one of my highlights for this year because beginning of this year, I don't know for you, Inky, but I was not ever a really big fan of Animal Crossing.
Neither
And
was
this
I.
was my first game.
That's the same for me as well, and I'd love to like Animal Crossing. It's very charming, kind of like a lot of the Nintendo games, and I get why people like it. I just couldn't get into it myself.
Yep, same with me. I just don't have the... I don't know if it's just, once again, the laziness kicking in, but I mean, I just don't feel like waking up every day and going back to the island and just doing, repetitive, the same task.
Right, yeah.
Taking care of the island. And I understand the appeal because, trust me, for like the first couple of hours, I was kind of like, this is just a peaceful, I don't have to, super sweat on some dudes on online Splatoon or Smash Bros. But after a while, yeah, I'm just kind of like, dude, I can't wake up early enough on, what is that, Saturday or Sunday to get the turnips and remember to turn them in. And
I tried
it's
that.
just a lot of stuff.
So I think I went on and off for probably a month and a half total, but like sort of somewhat big breaks in between. And yeah, I definitely get that. I tend to focus a lot on progression, and there's a point, like I'd say once you get Town Hall, there's not much progression left in the game.
Right.
And that really sort of, and like the updates come out and there's like this cool new thing, and then I just don't try it. And I probably should, but it's really just not my thing, I think.
Yeah, that's the same for me. I'm just like, that's why I think I love Mario so much, because you get that completion factor and you just feel good. Like, yes, 100% of that level. I collected all the things in that level, and just like I can reach for the end. There's a goal, there's like a finish line, but with Animal Crossing, it's just forever. You're just going to keep playing it, keep updating, and I'm just like, I just want to play a game and beat it and have that. But yeah, Animal Crossing was just kind of like I'm glad I got to experience it since I never played them before, but it's just at the end of the day, not for me.
Right, that's the same for me. And one last thing on that is the whole extended breaks thing. It doesn't encourage you to come back, because the second you come back, like the one thing that sort of kept me coming back were the unique interactions with the villagers. But if you take a break for like 3 days, their unique dialogue for that day is just completely kicked out the window in favor of, wow, I thought you were dead. I haven't seen you in weeks. And then you can't talk to them for like basically the rest of the day. So it's got its issues, at least for me.
Yeah, and that's where pretty much the rest of my year comes into place. It's just like everybody's playing Animal Crossing, and I'm just like, it's backlog time. So really, the next big thing for the year was the update that Mario Maker 2 got, the final update, I think it was, with
right. Yeah, the World
the
Maker.
Mario Brothers 2 mushroom, I think it was, that they added, and some enemies.
And didn't they add the World Maker in that one as well?
In the World Maker, that's right. And that's really, I mean, I remember I was covering that for about a month and a half because people were just eating Mario Maker up. They love Mario Maker.
They do like that. It's personally, for me, Mario Maker, again, not really too much of my thing, and I know it's a lot for you because you made a lot of content on that. Right. I'm bad at creating stages, and so after I sort of beat the story mode of Mario Maker 2, I kind of dropped it. I played a little bit with friends once, and that was a fun experience. But when I saw the World Maker, I did come back temporarily because that looked really cool. And yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, for Mario Maker 1, this is kind of like a Splatoon 2 thing with me as well. Splatoon 1, I could not put down. I played an ungodly amount of hours. I mean, seriously, it was almost unhealthy. And Splatoon 2 drops. Yeah, and Splatoon 2 drops, and I'm just like, this just feels, to me, as someone that played so much of the first game, it's just like everything was Splatoon, but obviously better, but it was just, Splatoon at the end of the day.
Right.
And I don't know, I played a lot, but I just kind of ended up not playing anywhere near as much. I didn't play all the Splatfest the way I did the first one. I was just like hit or miss with the game, and that's kind of with Mario Maker 2. I made these really elaborate, huge levels in the first game, and it's just like, I've done this before. I don't know if I want to really make all these levels. And then another thing with that is my mind goes too much, out of the box of what Nintendo has for Mario Maker. I try to do things that literally are not possible in the game, and I get mad. I'm just like, why can't I do this? And then I just give up.
That's kind of the reverse for me. I get onto that blank screen, and I've got nothing.
Just complete, I don't know.
I'm just
done.
like, this void is a perfect representation of my mind going into this.
Yeah, I just get too many ideas. I'm like, dude, I want to implement this and this. I'll try this, and then
you made a lot of videos on that stuff too, like things that should be in the game, could be in the game, maybe should be in the next game,
Yeah, and it's at the end of the day, it's just like I sound spoiled because I want all this stuff, but the game has so much stuff in it already. But that's just my imagination. That's just my creative side. I'm just trying to create these elaborate projects, and just none of them were falling through. So I was like, I'll play some levels when they come out, and I'll check some stuff out. But I really haven't even played Mario Maker 2, like, sat down and enjoyed myself and played probably since, like, last year or so. Yeah, so. But after Mario Maker, really, there wasn't much, I don't think, during the summer. There was, obviously, Min for Smash DLC for, obviously, Smash Bros.
I think there was
that
the
one...
Pokemon DLC, I think, too, right?
Oh, yep, the Isle of Armor.
I never even finished that. That has a few problems that, if we want, I could go into that, but...
Yeah, Sword and Shield, I have Sword, so that was my first, believe it or not, Pokemon game ever. So my friends, Eli and Kevin, huge Pokemon fans, are like, come on, get this game. So I'm like, all right, let's try it. I loved it, actually. I know a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't like this game. Obviously, I haven't played the past one, so I can't judge it off of that. But I thought the wild area, for me, the story was boring. It was just go to this gym, spam this move on. But the wild area was amazing to me. If they literally just, like, I could play a game where you just got a Breath of the Wild open world and you're collecting Pokemon. Fill that Pokedex. And that was just where I had the most fun, just collecting everything.
Yeah. Sword and Shield have... I like to describe it like this. As someone who's played a few generations of Pokemon games, Sword and Shield has high highs and low lows. What it does well, it does really well, but it also, like, really falls short in a lot of areas. I'd say, as far as the story goes, there are some things, especially towards the ending of the story, that they do fantastically well, better than a lot of the other Pokemon games in my opinion, especially how they handle the legendaries. There's no big evil team who's going to capture the legendary, exploit its power to destroy the world, cause an ice age, do whatever, make a new galaxy. I liked how they were actually, like, legends. Like, nobody knew that they were, like, really there. and I think the rivals were also handled well. But pacing was a huge problem in that story, because there was like the whole first half, maybe basically every time there wasn't the ending and maybe rival moments, it was a lot of what, like you said, you just go here, do this, go there, do that, and Hop shows up like a million times. They could have thrown in the other rivals who barely show up, and while they did give Hop a very good story arc compared to some of the other ones, in my opinion, overall, it didn't have a lot of stuff there. As far as the wild area, I have very mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Because the concept is great, but there was just one huge thing that I did not like.
Let me try to guess this, because I think I know where you're going, but would it happen to have anything to do with the certain weather changes?
Not particularly, though. That
Pokemon
is
only came out on specific.
right.
Yeah.
That was frustrating.
Okay.
But the main issue that I pinpointed that I did not like about the wild area, so I never finished Isle of Armor and haven't even started Crown Tundra because of this, is that once you beat the game, all the Pokemon, no matter what, are level 60.
Yes.
And part of the appeal for Pokemon, to me, is catching a Pokemon and training it up, raising it, having it evolve, etc. But when I'm catching a level 60 Magikarp, it's not fun.
Yep.
There's no journey, there's no... Again, going back to the progression thing, there's no progression. You fight like maybe 1 or 2 battles with it, maybe give it a candy, and it's done. Your work is done. Pokedex slot added, moving on to the next one.
Yep. Yeah, I played like the first, I think, maybe hour of Isle of Armor, and like you said, I mean, you had all these different Pokemon battles, and I just completely blew through everybody with my Pokemon, and it got so boring to the fact I just decided to completely forget about the story and just go around the whole island and look for Pokemon and fill the decks again, because I was just like, yeah. And then I've never been back, and I think that is the reason. I didn't even think about it like that. It's just you have these absolute behemoth Pokemon in your in your lineup, and you're just blowing through everybody, and it's just like there's no point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tried it for Isle of Armor. I even tried to pull an Ash Ketchum and just sort of keep my starter and just like put the rest of my party in the box. I wanted to catch some Pokemon that were exclusive to the Isle of Armor. And you just going into those with the whole level 60 thing, you can't repeat the same sense of adventure, because there once again is no progression there. Like I catch a Venipede, one of my favorite bug types, and it's level 60, and that's not right. This tiny bug should not be level 60 and should not be evolving in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for somebody that this is their first game, this was a good first experience for me, at least, to get into it a little bit. But like, yeah, I've seen everybody online. It's been rough for the Pokemon Company.
It has. And I've heard Crown Tundra is better, but and I have it. It's there. I just don't know why I haven't started it.
Absolutely the same. I bought it, and I'm just looking at it like I don't feel like it yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I feel as well. This mildly off topic. I'm not going to dwell on this too long, because we've got time for podcast and stuff. I sort of go through these like seasonal moods, and right now is usually when Pokemon time for me is. But Age of Calamity releasing has completely thrown that off. I'm full Zelda right now. Yeah.
But you might as well let's just swing into it then. Age of Calamity comes out tomorrow.
Yes. That's correct. Yes, I'm very excited.
Yes. Well, time of recording tomorrow. You guys will already probably have it, but
by the time you're watching this, I'm probably halfway through the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'll probably be streaming this as it goes up. But nice. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to see what they do here. I'm preparing myself to be disappointed with how it's going to go, but just from some things with the little robot and just going back in
Well,
time, that's
yeah.
not what I thought was going to happen. But
Right. I have some very strong opinions on that as well. I go through these two moods. When the game was announced, there was mood 1, which is skeptical and mildly concerned, because I saw that you had the runes, and I'm like, hold on, these people aren't canonically supposed to be using the runes here. But that was just sort of a nitpick at the time, and I was like, okay, but it's for the sake of gameplay, I can live with it. Then the demo rolls around. Actually, no. First of all, then the presentation happens. Impa gets shown off. The gameplay looks great. I'm full hype mode. Any doubts I had, gone.
right.
And the phone is ringing.
But yeah, the thing with me with Warriors games is I'm all about the characters. Like, I want to see as goofy amount of characters as you can put in. And that's what I was worried about, because I watched the reviews and I understand they don't want to spoil, and I get that. But I felt like some of them should have, I think there was only one review that I've seen that said, hey, you guys will be happy that there are a lot of additional characters. And as someone that has seen them, I just want to say that there are going to be characters, and I'm glad that there's a lot of characters. And that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited because in this game, each character has a certain way they use the runes. They have a specific way that they function. They have this one thing that's unique to them and them only, and that's what I like. And I'm very excited to see what all of these characters are going to have that's unique to them.
And going into that, as far as the gameplay, that is absolutely the part of the game that I have the least doubts about. I think it's going to be a great gameplay experience, and I think I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. My concern, obviously, is the story, because when it was first announced, I would argue the main appeal of the game is that we are playing the war from 100 years ago. But as soon as the demo dropped, things are getting a little bit more complicated. Are we playing the war that happened 100 years ago, or are we playing a separate version of it? Because
yeah. I'm indecisive because, on one hand, I can see this being something very unique and something very different for the franchise. On the other hand, I can see this completely scrapping and making Breath of the Wild just seem like it was a waste and it wasn't even a thing that happened. But here's where my worry really comes into play, is with the sequel. Because I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the very first reveal trailer of Age of Calamity, Aonuma came up and he was talking about Breath of the Wild 2 and it was still development. And he stated something very interesting, I thought. He said that they were still hard at work on making the world that we loved so much even more interesting. That's what kind of scared me, because the part that made Breath of the Wild so interesting was the world. It was running around, seeing just bizarre things thrown into the overworld, seeing weird mountain ranges, exploring inside caves, and I don't know how I feel if it's going to be the same world but with things changed. I don't... Yeah, that's kind of... I don't know if that's something... I understand it's going to feel different. It's, it's a sequel. It's a full brand new sequel. It's going to be different things, but I don't know. That's kind of what I'm worried about, and that's where I think they're going to go, because I just feel like they're making this entire story arc with these 3 games. I feel like you got Breath of the Wild, you got the prequel, and then you're going to have the sequel. Right. And it's just all going to tie in. It's all about this one map, this one kingdom, this one area. And that's where I'm going to get kind of ugh.
And yeah, I can definitely see that concern. But another thing is, I feel like if this is supposed to be viewed as one big trilogy, which I think is the intent, obviously, it just doesn't, and obviously we don't know how the story's gonna go. This whole alternate timeline thing could be completely reversed, really, if the little egg guy gets back in his box at the end of the game and basically creates a time loop.
That's very true.
But if that doesn't happen, we have 2 timelines now. And isn't that kind of exactly what Breath of the Wild was supposed to sort of get rid of? The whole complicated timelines? And so, if that's the case, if this ends up being a different timeline, and I'm confident that the Calamity is still going to happen, and the champions are going to die, especially because of the new trailer from yesterday. I think that outcome will be the same. but enough has changed already from just even seeing the demo to qualify this as potentially being another timeline. And if that's the case, what would be the point of it being part of the trilogy if it's Breath of the Wild past, but not really?
Right. It's a hard one, because once again, it just, once I see it, I can so much, like, I'm sure we're gonna have a discussion after we beat the game together. It's hard to say right now, because it just, there's so many things that they could do with this. They could do like an Avengers Endgame situation where they go back in time and they just fix things, and then now you got all these champions with you still in the sequel. Or it could be, like you said, a timeline split where it's just completely different, and then, you know, like you said, we're trying to fix this crazy Zelda timeline lore, and now you got a game with a timeline in a timeline, and just it's just, I don't know. It's just gonna have to be something I experience, but hopefully they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. And I hope they don't try and go too far the path of the original Hyrule Warriors and just sort of make it a whole, everyone is here for the sake of everyone being here.
Yeah.
Because I think it was very clear that the direction for this game was to be more on the Breath of the Wild side, story-focused, and it's been described many times as Breath of the Wild with Warriors gameplay instead of Warriors with Zelda characters. And I really hope it lives up to that.
Yeah, and like I said, that drops tomorrow, so I'm sure you're going to see some of those YouTubers. I'm sure some of them already today posted all the story content.
Oh, yeah. I already, in my YouTube recommended, some people have got the game early. There are leaks everywhere.
Yep.
I see in my recommended a 2-hour video, so that actually is kind of exciting. 2-hour video of all of the cutscenes. And obviously I didn't see it. I clicked off not interested, so it doesn't come up again.
Yeah.
But hey, that's pretty cool to know that there's over 2 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's pretty much it for the year, besides, obviously, the last one I want to talk about is the one that at first I was, without a doubt, the most excited for, which was the Mario 3D Remaster.
Ah, yes. I knew we'd get here eventually, because there are some interesting things about this.
So, this was interesting, because out of the entire year, I think every single Nintendo YouTuber content came to the rumors of this game being true or false. That's what it was. It wasn't even the announcement of the game that really generated people interest. It was the rumors, because it was like, how are these games going to look? How is 64 going to look? How, like, are they going to, is it just ports? Is it, and then, my own excitement came for Sunshine and Sunshine only. That's my game. That's my baby. I was like, I've been waiting for so long to have that on like a new hardware, like an HD, at least kind of, and just being able to play the game again. And that was already satisfying for me. As far as Galaxy and 64, I played them honestly maybe 50 times. So it was just like,
that's fair, yeah.
Here we go. Back into it. This is like backlog, it feels like, again. But yeah, what did you think?
Before I get into my thoughts, what you said about the whole everyone latching onto the rumors, I think that was very interesting, because the whole reason that was able to happen was because Nintendo's complete radio silence for like the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Like, that just opened the door for so many just rumors, because there was nothing official to expect other than random trailers that they'd drop out of nowhere for huge games.
And people were just talking about, all over. I had comments saying like, this isn't happening. I don't know why you're covering this. And I'm like, Inky, from day one, I was like, this is happening. This is 100%. Like, I'm almost like, I'm going to come out and just say, I'm just going to lie and say I've seen the game just so people believe. Like, this is happening. Like, there's no, I mean, they've been so quiet. They're not going to drop Breath of the Wild 2 in a month. You get to play it. I'm like, this just seems like something they're going to do. And I remember, I don't know if you heard of that leaker that, I think it was Zippo from Resetera. He put out this big thing one day and said, I'm so mad. I've seen what this game is going to be. It's just going to be direct ports, and 64 is not going to get widescreen, and I'm upset. And then everybody was like, whoa, I hope this isn't true. Like, oh my goodness, please don't be the case. And it was the case.
It was the case.
it was the case.
I was always very skeptical of the rumors. I was in no way where you were as far as like this is happening. I was like, I was like, are they gonna do this? And then when it gets announced, I remember I was in school. I couldn't even see the trailer. I see Discord like completely popping off, and everyone and I go into the chat. Is there Galaxy? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's all I need. Kind of like you with Sunshine, even though I had just finished replaying Galaxy like a month before the announcement. But yes, now we get into the quality of the game.
It hurts me so much, Inky, because I am like Mario's my baby. Okay, out of every other Nintendo property, Mario is it. Like I get like excitement chills when I see a new Mario game trailer. I mean, my wait for Mario 3D World and my wait for Mario Odyssey was like some of the longest days of my life. I could not wait. I was going like to the store to just get my hands on Odyssey on like a demo station. So I hate like ever saying anything bad about these games, but
oh, absolutely. I as well. Mario is definitely like Mario, Zelda, Kirby, and a little slightly less for Pokemon. Those are like my big franchises that I absolutely love from Nintendo. So I can definitely relate to that. And this collection, 3D All-Stars, I have a very different experience with it than other people, because I completely understand being outraged with it even, and it's completely rightfully so to be outraged at what they're doing with the whole minimal effort and limited release. But for me, I had never played 64 or Sunshine, so it was absolutely worth it for me. I had recently finished 64. It was pretty good. And that saying it like that makes it seem like I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it. And I'm gonna start Sunshine probably after I finish Age of Calamity. And but as far as for people who have played all the games, maybe want to get it again on the Switch, and this is hard to say as a Nintendo fan. It's kind of a ripoff.
It's just not fan service, and it just feels like, here, I don't know how to say it. It's just like, you guys wanted these games on the Switch, so literally, here are these games on the Switch.
It was
minimal changes.
Right. And that is the huge problem, because I think I watched a video sort of talking about this towards the end. I think it was by Sieve Gaming, if that's his name. Sorry if I got that wrong. But he actually put it very well. There's the whole thing with Nintendo games. If you don't have access to them, their price goes up. If they're not easily accessible, they're worth more. So, it seems like the mentality going into 3D All-Stars, and we can see this popping up with the localization of the first Fire Emblem game as well, which is also limited release, is that they plan to release the ports with minimal effort, then cut off the selling point so that they can keep their value and keep selling it for full price. And I really, really hope that is not how they plan to go forward with remasters and remakes and ports. Mm-hmm. But it does make a lot of sense. And as far as the business side of things, while I would call that honestly a scummy move, it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, 64 and Galaxy, or Sunshine and Galaxy is kind of what I expected, and I think Sunshine looks probably the best upgrade from the original.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Galaxy was just already beautiful. I mean, for a Wii game, Galaxy looks great, and they just made it look even better, but that was good. But I think Sunshine to me always had they try to go for motion, like heat blur in the background when you can see like the heat coming off the ground, and it just didn't look good. It just looked blurry. And it just, everything in the background, you couldn't see things, but it looks really good now. But 64, it just, so many times they've released this game on Virtual Console, on just everything you could think of, on every console. And, I think for the Wii U, you could pick up Mario 64 for like $1.99 or something. There was one day there was like a special offer, and I was like, it just, to me, that's just, I mean, it's time to, I think people really wanted to see at least, the very least, cleaning stuff up, you know.
Even just a widescreen. That, like,
just a widescreen.
Like emulators do that. Emulators
that blows my mind. That one blows my mind.
It's you hate
when
to
you're
see
looking at it on the
Nintendo.
Switch, like in handheld, you can even see, like, just seeing the black borders on the handheld is just bad. It's just, they just, I mean, it scares me because next year Zelda's 30th.
Oh yes,
35th.
I am terrified.
So, yeah. And the reason why I'm scared, because I know, I guarantee you, if they do a 3-pack, it's gonna be Wind Waker, it's gonna be Twilight Princess, it's gonna be Skyward Sword.
I don't want that. Oh.
And Skyward Sword is gonna get nothing.
No.
It's gonna. I'm telling you, Inky, I'm telling you.
It hurts.
Because Skyward Sword is my favorite Zelda game.
It is one of my favorites as well. I think it's tied for my favorite with Wind Waker, and I hate to say it, if there is a collection like that, I'm sorry, Nintendo, I won't be buying it. I've got Wind Waker.
I'm buying it, but I'll be mad.
Oh.
I'll be mad, but I'll be salty playing my way.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, I've been waiting for Skyward Sword the same way with Sunshine. So, I mean, I'm gonna buy it.
That's fair, and that's definitely the conflict for me. The thing that pushes me towards the no, though, I've got Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. I've got Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U, and I've got Skyward Sword already, and it looks decent for its time. And I think if they were just gonna spruce up the graphics a little bit and add nothing, just to put it on the Switch, it just wouldn't be worth it. I would much rather them put in the effort to make Skyward Sword HD for the Switch, just like they did with Wind Waker and Twilight Princess on the Wii U.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, when you look back, and it's really hard to see, like, what happened this year for Nintendo, even though there were some things going on, there were some problems, of course, worldwide, but still, it just looked like it was a very, very light year. It was hard. It was hard to get through.
It was a light year, especially towards the beginning where we had nothing to go off of. I think if we had a direct, maybe early, mid-year, just sort of going over stuff like Paper Mario, maybe Pikmin 3 Deluxe, probably not Age of Calamity yet, that would probably be like an E3 reveal, but like, the fact that these things got canceled, really, I'd say if we had that towards the beginning of the year, I think it would have felt more full. But the fact that we had so much dead space where nothing was happening, it really does make it seem like it was a very light year.
And my problem, I think, is the whole Direct situation. For some reason, they were so against having a Direct, and it kind of does not make sense to me, because they still announced a lot of things. They announced 3D World for next year. They announced the Mario 3D remasters, a whole bunch of Mario stuff, which could have just been its own segment in the Direct. They had, like I said, Paper Mario, Age of Calamity, Pokemon information, Smash DLC characters. I'm just like, it's not the case that they didn't have games to show.
Exactly.
In fact, they probably had more than normal, because most of Nintendo Directs are just lots of filler, if you ask me. Lots of just third-party games and just, So I'm like, what was the reasoning? I mean, you had pre-recorded stuff like the Mario Direct.
Right.
So that showed that they could do this. You know, even like Aonuma was on there talking about, you know, Breath of the Wild 2 and Age of Calamity before they showed it. So I'm like, what was the problem? Why couldn't you get like just a pre-recorded video out like normal?
Yeah, that is definitely a bit confusing. My immediate defense, or my immediate instinct is to try and go to Nintendo's defense there, saying like, maybe we don't really know the full process of what goes into a Direct, but you make some very good points as far as the Mario one and the Zelda one, that seem to be almost exactly like a Direct. So it's very confusing why that just sort of didn't happen. And I'd say we shouldn't be too quick to judge, though, considering everything that's been going on. We really don't know how hard it's been hitting Nintendo, and they aren't being very vocal about it either. So it's and like
like another thing, you had Treehouse presentations. I think you had one for Age of Calamity, and then I think Bakugan something. Yeah, that was just terrible. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like there was pieces of the direct there, but it just never happened. But this is why I have you on, Inky, because I'm always gonna just straight tell it how it is, and I'm glad you're someone that has a positive look on things, because I'm just so dead from this year and just dried out, and just the lack of just talking from Nintendo is just killing.
Yeah, it is frustrating indeed.
But yeah, I just want, before, I'm not going to go into these like really in depth, but I just want to generally just take a look at what 2021 could have, because this is going to be its own discussion of itself, just talking about the next year. But I mean, we know Mario 3D World.
That's right, yeah. And
it's got a Bowser's Fury thing going on. We don't know about that.
Depending on what happens with that is what's going to make or break the game for me on the Switch. I have it on the Wii U. If Bowser's Fury isn't amazing, I'm probably not going to get it.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's all we know.
There we go. That's it. Because, like, I don't know much about Travis Strikes Back and what is it? I don't even know the name of the game. No More Heroes. No More Heroes 3. Or I don't know much about like where Bayonetta 3 is. I haven't played really any Bayonetta, but as far as like Nintendo straight up first property, there's nothing. There's just nothing announced, and here we are almost approaching the end of November.
Right. Now, of course we could, and this is a very hard could, because we really don't know either way. Considering it is Zelda 35th next year, maybe we could get some Breath of the Wild 2, at least some information, if not the actual game.
I think it's coming.
Really? Okay.
Holiday 2021, I think for sure.
I think I'm usually hesitant with this kind of stuff, but I'd say that's a pretty safe bet. When people were saying 2020, I was like, no. They announced it. They said it was in development. Wasn't even a coming soon when they announced it at E3 2019. And so I didn't really know how people expected it to come in 2020. But I'd say 2021 holiday. I'd actually say that, yeah. I'd go with that, yeah.
I think the only reason people were saying that mostly is because it's a sequel, and lots of people have this idea it's going to be overall the same, kind of map build, and they're just going to be changing things up. And I think lots of people had that in their head, that it was just going to be, it's not from the ground up again, like the drastically long time it took for the first one. So,
and I don't expect it to take that long, as far as compared to Breath of the Wild, but I also don't think it's going to be too short either.
Right. But then it's just like, if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't happen next year, what the heck are we getting? Because I don't think Mario's going to be there. You got 3D World. I think that's going to be Mario's game of the year. I don't think he's going to have another 3D big Mario game until the year after, maybe even beyond that. I really don't know what else you could have. What other big IPs do they need to touch? I mean, you have Star Fox. Maybe you could do something with.
Star Fox coming back would be a surprise. That is.
Yeah, I mean, you're really limited at this point.
Yeah. And obviously, we're gonna get Smash DLC. I think that might be the driving force going forward until we get more announcements. Because there's a lot of hype going into that. Especially like we don't really know what to expect after Steve. Like, where do we go from here? So yeah, that'll probably be exciting. Then there's, as you said, 3D World, maybe Breath of the Wild 2, maybe a Zelda collection. But aside from that, 2021 is an unexplored frontier.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, the Game Awards is coming up, okay? Right. And Nintendo wasn't there last year. And Nintendo hasn't really talked to us at all this year. So I almost feel like they've got to have something there. Like, besides an obvious Smash character.
They'll have something, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's got to be something there. Actually, just before I started doing this, before we jumped on here, I got a notification that GameStop once again got a whole bunch of SKUs popped up. So I don't know if that has anything coordination with the Game Awards, but we'll see. Yeah, but yeah, it's going to be. If I had to make a quick prediction, I think we're going to get Breath of the Wild 2 as a big game. I think there's going to be a big 3D Kirby.
Ooh.
I don't know why, but I feel
love that. As long as
I think it's coming.
As long as it's more back to Return to Dreamland style. Star Allies was a bit weak in my opinion.
Inky, I'm glad you said that because my friends think I'm crazy. I thought it was bland.
It was. I probably wouldn't go as far as to say bland, but it was weaker, much weaker.
It felt like Kirby, and it was just like it felt like something I've done so many times. It just the level design was just straightforward. I thought the weapon combination stuff was better in the Crystal Shards game.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just felt like it was. Yeah, I just felt like Crystal Shards was better.
Yeah,
all the way around.
And Crystal Shards is probably my second favorite Kirby game as well, so I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Return to Dreamland is probably my favorite.
Absolutely, that is one of my favorite games.
Yeah, it's so good.
Well, anyway, before we get too far into
yeah, we're going to start going into Wii games here.
we're kind of getting up here on the time.
Yep.
So, should we probably sort of wrap things up?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully we get some news. I think it's too soon still, obviously, for Metroid. Maybe we get like a small, this is what the game's going to look like, but yeah, I don't know. But to finish off, we do have a question from one of the channel members today. To ask this question, you can just join the Nin10 Stars membership. It's only, I think right now I set it to $2 a month. You guys can ask your questions and get some information out, and you guys can appear on the end of the video. But this question comes from Vimo Goomba. He says, do you think Nintendo should work on remakes for certain games, like Paper Mario 64? So I'm taking this as it's probably we're talking classics. I don't know. Inky, go ahead and start us off here. What do you say?
I'd say that goes back to the scary issue that gets brought up with 3D All Stars, because if that's how they're handling remakes now, then I'm not sure we would want them.
Yeah. I think if they go with a game that far, I mean, obviously 64 is a problem. Yeah, that's an old game. It came out on the Nintendo 64. Clearly, they're not changing anything. But if they treat it like Link's Awakening and they completely, change it up, fix it up, make it look clean, give it a new kind of art style, new engine, I think people love that.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
People eat that up. I mean,
I'd say it's easy to fall into a pessimistic mindset as far as, like, when you think about it, we've got 3D All Stars and the little Fire Emblem localization. They both have limited releases. As far as that, I think, honestly, I've been talking a lot about how this is, like, scary going forward. Optimism sort of kicking in. We don't really have any reason to believe that. We still had Link's Awakening last year. They could still be going full-on remakes. And if that is the case, absolutely, that would be great.
Yeah, and I do think eventually Nintendo's going to come to their senses and say, hey, fans want Paper Mario the way Paper Mario was, and the best way, in my book, to re-experience that is to have 64 again, have the 1,000-Year Door again, and let people experience that, get the creative juices back, and remember how Paper Mario played, get a game out in the future that reflects off of those again. And that's the best way.
And let the people make creative and original designs.
Yes, give us those partners. Let us get that turn-based Paper Mario good. Like, you don't need to do anything crazy to make Paper Mario. I know they love to innovate that battle system, but like, bring Paper Mario 64 like you did with Link's Awakening. Make it look nice. Ain't no reason people would not buy that.
Exactly.
But yeah, we're about at the end here, Inky. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you at.
Oh, well, I've got my own channel. I do all sorts of stuff, like Minecraft, Among Us, Five Nights at Freddy's, Nintendo stuff. Basically, if you can think it, I might have done it at some point. That's actually a pretty bold claim. I should probably go back on that. But it's too late now. So
you're in there.
Yeah. So if you want to check out some pretty chill gaming content, be sure to head on over to my channel, watch a few videos, subscribe if you like it. And yeah, thank you to Nintendo Land for getting me on this podcast show thing.
Yeah, of course. And his link will be in the description below if you want to check that out. And if he doesn't have every game that you were thinking of, go ahead and let him know since you can make that claim.
I knew I shouldn't have said that.
But no, you'll be good. You'll be good. You got a lot of stuff. I checked it out. You got a lot of stuff going on. So most of that claim is pretty good. But yeah, Inky, thank you for coming in and talking about Nintendo. And I'm sure we'll have another talk soon in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, and I will see you guys on the next one. See you guys.
See ya.